Hey everyone, we're here with Brittany and John from Rwake. You should check them out. They're from Arkansas. It's not anything that you would expect at fucking all. Uh, so Brittany, John, thank you for saying fuck you work. I'm gonna go chat music for a little bit.
Well, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that 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 you like the record because we're really super proud of it.
You really should be like it is. I think traditionally in heavy music, you don't get the mix that you guys present to the listener. There are great bands that do a lot of really cool stuff, and there are not a lot of bands that mix so many elements. And honestly, there are times where I feel like I'm being preached at, like someone's in the pulpit, and I'm like, this really fucking fits this song so well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And you
Well,
get the
and
fucking screams and
yeah, so like I know you're just now like, introduced to our band, but we've been around for almost 30 years now. We took that 13-year break, but before that, I think it was really hard for a lot of people to kind of wrap their head around what we were doing. Um, the music scene I feel like has changed a whole lot since then. And 13, 20 years ago, or at least the people that I know, they were very, genre specific music listeners. So like, this, I only listen to speed metal. I only listen to this. I only listen to like doom. I only listen to, there wasn't, the average music listener wasn't quite as diverse, in what they, what their tastes were at that time, I felt like. And so a lot of times when people would hear our music, they would be like, well, they don't sing enough, or they don't scream enough, or it's not, fast enough, or it's not doom enough. It's like it's too much of everything.
yeah.
And so I think it was hard for a lot of people to kind of wrap their head around that. And I think that now people are more attuned and more open-minded. I don't know if it's just because, like generally we have like an old, we're older, so we have like an older crowd, where people are a little bit more, not, like, so I mean that may have something to do with it, but I think
Oh,
people are more attuned to listening to different, to have eight different genres in one song, because
yeah.
at the end of the day, like when we write music, we 100% write it for ourselves. We don't write it with a listener in mind. And that's why we've always had such really like diverse songs, because we listen to any and everything, all kinds of music. And I think that really reflects in what we do. So and when you don't have a specific audience in mind that you're trying to write for, when you're only writing for yourself, that gives you like 100% total creative freedom to do whatever you want. And it allows it to be a completely cathartic experience for you. And I think for the listener as well, too, like when you're not forcing anything, when you're at the end of the day just channeling whatever it is that the earth's like providing for you to like Jeff likes to say, when he writes riffs he doesn't write them, he just captures them. Um and so I think I'm I think the world's just more ready for the diversity that we provide in a song, not just a record.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think part of that is, for so many years, I mean, I feel like we're pretty comparable in age. Um, for so many years you listened to thrash and it was thrash and I love
Yes.
thrash, right? And I
Yes,
I
right, so do
love,
I. Yeah,
right?
Show
I
No
like
Mercy,
all
one of
these,
my favorite records, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I love all these different genres. I think people are kind of bored. I mean, just looking at like the crossover with hip hop and country and everything. I think people are looking for more now, like you were saying, more now so than ever. They're
Yeah.
looking for something that's going to challenge them intellectually,
Yeah.
which is when you're listening to something with black metal vocals, you don't expect to hear an acoustic guitar come in and take you like kind of on another path, like, oh, what
Right.
different song? Nope, same song.
And
Okay.
I think you really touched it too when you said, like when people are get bored, because I think, it's scroll generations now, like we're just like constantly scrolling and new, something different, 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 like, um, and so I think it's, people like the fact that, that it is so diverse, and a lot of
Yeah,
that I think is due to like the our amount of scrolling that we do these days. And just, like a lot of people don't just from scrolling don't have like the attention span to sit down and watch a movie anymore because they just
Yeah,
I
want, constant clips. Giving just, yeah.
I can
yeah.
speak to just my personal experience. I've been living in Miami for around 3 or 4 years, and I've got a friends group down here. And Miami isn't as covered up in like it kind of it's got a heavy and a rock scene, but it's not like a um, bubbling over, So a lot of the friends that I've met down here that aren't generally they're musicians, but they're not into heavy stuff. And so when I shared the Return of Magic music video to them, that's 12 minutes, man. Like that's a lot for anyone in general. And I got so many positive responses from like my friends group in this like music text thread. Like I didn't expect 12 minutes to go by so quickly, and it was engaging and I was interested the whole way. Um and so I feel like that's a big accomplishment to be able to keep someone engaged for a 12-minute song,
Oh,
if you're looking at like
absolutely.
12 minutes of funeral doom is different than 12 minutes of apocalyptic southern you know religious doom from Arkansas, so
Yeah.
somehow we keep that interest going. And I think a lot of it too has to do with we do the things that we love to do, but also always trying to find this a singular message in the music for ourselves, whether that be via melody, whether it be the lyrics, or just things that kind of are little Easter eggs inside of the music for ourselves that start at the first part of the song and are still there constantly throughout and lead the song to its conclusion. And I think that keeps interest.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, engaging, right? Like every time you guys add a new element or kind of switch lanes, it forces the listener to not just listen, but to be like active listening with as like,
Yeah.
oh, hold on, what happened there? I got to follow this because I want to know where this is going. And I do want to say that there are a lot of bands who try that. They try to throw a whole bunch of different things in and they do it, but there's always something missing. And with, with the Return of Magic, I feel like there's a common element through it. Like every song sounds like you all. It's
Yeah.
not so different. There's no aspect of it that feels so different where you're like, who the hell is that? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of that is because, we're long form music listeners and players. So the record was, while each song is, its own song. And I hate to even call it a song because most of them it's like, 15 minutes, so each piece of music, we'll say, so each piece of music, while it's its own entity, is really a small part of a bigger picture, and that is the album as a whole from beginning until end. Um, and just like the little things, of like, how we start the record with the same melody that we end it with, but we've changed and kind of grown and changed that, from the beginning to the end, and what that melody that we start with and where it ends, how much it's changed is just, like I think that's a good example of what we try to do in general. It's like, but again, it's taken somebody on that journey from beginning to end with the entire record, and each song has its purpose within the record as a whole. So while we've released, those two singles, I can't wait for people to hear them as a bigger part of a bigger piece of
Right.
music, because that's what they're intended for, as just an addition to this, to this album as a whole.
And I think that's really cool. Like, being growing up in the, late 70s, 80s, etc. You, we were accustomed to the album as a listening experience,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yes. And that like means a lot to us. Like holding, like actually holding the record like in your hands, and looking at the art while listening to it. Yes, as an entire experience
And
from beginning to
you
end.
could
And a lot of
you
people don't do that,
yeah.
like I think that's a more of an older generation thing, but
I
hopefully we
think
can
they're
bring
getting
that
back
back.
to it though.
I hope
I
so. I hope
I
so.
I really do. Like my daughter, I can only speak for like my kids, like my family, except my wife. Me and my kids, we all have vinyl. Everyone has
Yeah.
a record player in their room, like, and to see my daughter, like when she gets a new record and she's
Hmm.
like, my favorite thing is like pull the insert out and like, oh, I don't need a magnifying glass to read the lyrics. Like, this is fucking cool, like,
Right.
oh shit.
Yeah, my daughter's just now getting into vinyl. She's 13. But because for her everything's streaming. It's like
Yeah.
it's just streaming everything. But she's like once she got her first record, she was able to hold it. If there was like that moment for her, where she understood why our living room has hundreds and hundreds of records in it.
Yeah, like, oh, this is what it's all about. And I think that experience
Yeah,
itself also helps people like understand the full album experience versus the single mentality, you
yeah.
know?
And I think, with our artwork, I think this is the first time that in all of our years where we've actually, recording wise, we were able to capture exactly what we were trying to do, and what we were trying to sound like. Nothing against our previous records. I just don't think we were able to capture, what we were able to do in like the jam room or live quite as much. I think with this record, we were able to do that. So not only were we able to capture the sound, but then with the artwork as well, this is the first record where I'm like so super stoked and happy about the artwork, and I think it's because like we made it, it was like us, like me working with, like this local artist, me and Chris Terry working with this local artist, um, to, where we literally built this piece of artwork with our hands, and so I cannot wait to, to be able to hold that record with that artwork, and listen to it because I think the artwork like perfectly mirrors the music in every way, because it's like it's dark, it's evocative, it's got elements of death, but yet it's like really beautiful, and it's got these flowers and stuff, but the artwork and the music, they were both like born of the art, and like they were both born of like the earth and just shaped by like its rhythms and its textures and all of it. And I think it's all just captured so perfectly with this album. I'm just so super proud of it.
So you guys feel, I know most artists feel like the latest thing is their best thing. Um, I assume that you all feel like this is the best representation of what you all stand for.
Definitely do. Now that being said, I still, my favorite song that we've ever written is on this record. That's track 4, Distant Constellations, and the Psychedelic Incarceration. That's my favorite song we've ever written.
That
But
spoken word part in the beginning is like, holy shit, like his voice
yeah,
is so fucking right for that.
yeah. So, have you ever heard of Black Oak, Arkansas?
I know the name. I don't know anything about it.
Okay, so like aside from because that's Jim Dandy from Black Oak, Arkansas. We drove to his house. He wrote the poem, specifically for CT in order for us to use it for the record, and he wrote it years ago, like 9 years ago or so. And so that was an event all in itself. Us like 9 years later trying to go literally to his house in Black Oak, Arkansas, and sitting down with him, and recording, this poem that he wrote. But you really should, if you're really, especially if you're into like 70s psychedelic stuff. Their early records are freaking amazing. And you can even look up some of their videos on like YouTube, where they had like 3 guitars, really progressive stuff. Now, of course, they've got a lot of songs that are, like classic radio stuff that most people would identify them by. But uh, if you
They
look
coined the
up,
term raunch and roll, which I love because
right,
yeah, raunch and roll. I was like, hell
right,
yeah. You know you're getting
yeah,
into something there.
Hell
right.
yeah.
But yeah, if you go, I mean, I would suggest anyone that's into like super progressive 70s psychedelic stuff to look into like their early like live videos when they had like the three guitar players. Because I mean, if you're a musician, there's no way it's not going to blow your mind, you know. But if you're just a listener too, and you appreciate that style, there's, I mean, it's amazing. So to get him on the record was really great for us. Him being an Arkansas native as well. So I think it's great.
Hell yeah. So that's your favorite song, John.
Yeah,
What about you?
I mean, that one is pretty special. I will say, for my own like personal feelings and personal like vibe, song three um
Stardust
is
Flowers.
yeah. There's just a couple of like riffs in that song that make me feel like when I'm playing them live, it makes me feel invincible. It makes me feel like the Hulk or something. Like if I'm playing this riff and I needed to, you know, I just build a barrier around the entire stage, I would feel like I could shed. Yeah, exactly. So that's really awesome feeling whenever you have those big monster riffs, especially when they're kind of harmonizing with the other guitarist and everybody, the rhythm section is just stomping and just moving forward at a lumbering pace. That song makes me feel really good. And there's also a really cool pedal steel part in it too. Um, and a really quiet, nice little part that is special and feels like it's personal growth and band growth and things like that. So I like that one. And it's I think it's the shortest song on the record, so it's kind of another like bruiser, you know. I mean, each one
Yeah.
of our songs could be a freaking EP unto its own. But
Oh,
I like that one just to pivot from her answer because I can absolutely say that song four is a favorite as well. But we haven't played it out live yet, and so that's going to be its own work in progress. Just to get, you know, we're all working on it singularly right now. But when we get together for rehearsals and stuff, it's going to be a beast. But the love for the music is always going to prevail, and we're going to get there 1,000%.
hell yeah. I'll be honest with you. I want to see you all perform this from start to end live.
so we're
Like,
doing it. We're doing
I'm,
it and recording it. Like
oh,
that's
fuck yeah.
yeah, yeah, we're doing it. That's what we want to do too. So I'm so glad that the listener wants that same thing. Yes,
Yeah,
we were like really excited about doing that in general, like just putting out a new record and then playing it from start to finish, recording it, and just like watching the audience, you know, like with the like deer in the headlights, like what the fuck what just happened? What am I witnessing here? You know, like
Yeah.
yeah. I
it
want to
probably
come out
won't
of it
make
too
for a
and be like,
good, yeah.
yeah, I want to be like, what the hell just happened too? Like when we
Yeah.
get
Right.
there and I'd be like, holy shit, I just woke up from this, you know, meditation for the last 55 minutes, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's how I think when you put a record on, that's kind of how you should feel when you get done with it. Oh, okay, like I'm let's do this. I'm ready to fucking make today
Yeah.
happen, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's such a cool thing. I love the fact that you guys are going to do it and fucking record it. There's a band out of Cleveland or right outside of Cleveland and Lorraine, somewhere in that area, called Axioma. And with, was it last year we had the Eclipse 24 or 23?
I think it was even before last year. Yeah. I
It's
feel like it. I
23.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I like everything just runs together anymore. So I'm
Right.
like, mm.
Yeah.
uh, well, they wrote a fucking album and they waited until the eclipse and they went out and they recorded it live, lakeside during the eclipse, dude. And it sounds so fucking cool.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's
That's
really killer.
impressive.
Yeah. I mean, what planets aligning today or tomorrow? Full
I think
alignment
I think today.
today. Yeah. We really missed an opportunity there.
Yeah, no
Would have
shit.
been a good
All
release
of the
day.
things. Yeah.
But maybe, you know, maybe when we play the record live from beginning to end, that, you know, that we can make the planets all align.
Oh, that would
Just
be
There
kidding.
you
cool.
go.
Like, You'd fuck everyone up. Like, what the hell's going on here? Like,
Just, just dreaming over here. That's
yeah,
all.
Yeah.
forget Mercury in retrograde. Like,
Yeah.
like we're
All
gonna
right.
fuck all you guys up.
All right.
So does everyone except John live in Arkansas?
Reed was living in Ohio, our bass player. He's been living in Ohio for 13 years, but he is transplanting back. He's coming back to Arkansas. He's trying to sell his house up there now and move back.
Right
And
on.
then we'll all be together except for John.
John, you got to get back, dude. Sorry.
Man,
Well,
telling you.
I've never lived there. I've always been I was in Nashville for the beginning of my time with the band in 2011, 10, 12 era. Moved to Miami about 3.5 years ago, but the goal is to get back to Tennessee. So instead of like a 7 hour flight with a layover, it's like a 4.5 hour drive
Hell yeah.
down to Little Rock, Cost me $50 instead of 500,
Right. Yeah, dude.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about shit getting lost when you're driving there.
Oh
Right.
Lord, and traveling and yeah, exactly. Like I can travel with all the gear I need to, not have to worry about checked bags, not have to worry about malfunctioning items that have been jostled in transit and that sort of stuff. And being able just to be in the car by myself, just to listen to the music and start getting my mindset right for it.
Yeah, I like that. I like to drive a lot too. So like those times, my wife's like, "How do you drive all the time?" I'm like, "I just fucking put a record on, I crank it up, and I go."
Yeah.
Like there's no better like feeling. There's no one in the. I'm not traveling with anyone that's telling me, "Hey, we got to do this and go here." And
Yeah.
like, no, I've got my plan. There's no deviating from that. God,
It's
I'm
hard to
stubborn
be
with
in an
that, I
airplane,
guess.
even though with noise cancellation, you think, well, I can just go zoom out, but you're in a tube with 180 more people, man, and that's just never a place of solace and peace, regardless of how, Buddha you are with yourself. It's just not a place to go and zen out, and
That
just a lot of anxiety and stuff on those things. So hopefully I'll get to where I'm closer to the band and we'll be able to even engage in writing and recording and all that stuff even more.
Hell yeah. So with everyone like, being kind of distant and trying to get back to get closer to each other, is there plans to for you guys to take this on the road?
Um, and I mean, we've got like 4 shows planned right now. And I think, I mean, at the end of the day, we're a live band. You know, there's no substitute for playing live. When you get like the 6 of us on the stage and that energy mixed with the energy of the crowd, and you put all that together, there's no substitute for that. So we want to play as much as humanly possible. But there is 6 of us, and some of us have young kids, so it's not as easy as it was, in the past. So at the end of the day, just everything has to line up right. And John had a really good answer for that yesterday. I don't know if you remember what you said, John, but it was I enjoyed your answer yesterday when we were asked that same question.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're definitely open for business, a thousand
Yeah.
percent. It's just a matter of the offers coming in being worth it for us. And we're definitely not a bunch of 25-year-olds who can just jump in a van and sleep on couches that cats have pissed on and take a bunch
Nothing,
of
nothing wrong with
NyQuil so you get
cats.
yeah, nothing wrong with cats, but we're 45 carrying around a bunch of heavy gear and all that, so we're definitely ready to do it. It's just a matter of the offers have to be correct and they have to make sense for all of us, and we all feel 1,000% about this music and playing it live. There is nothing better. It's not a better feeling. As I was mentioning earlier about that particular riff that makes me feel so connected with the band and with the universe. Those songs, we all feel that way when we're playing them live. So it's good to get in and get that therapy in whenever we can with each other. So yeah, absolutely, we're down to do it. Just has to make sense.
Hell yeah. I only ask because I want to get it live. I've got to experience this live. there's I think to Brittany's point, there is no substitution for a live band, and when you
Right.
do it right and you listen to the album,
Absolutely.
you're like, man, that's good. And you take it live, it's almost it in my mind, it should be better live than on record.
Yes, I agree. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and we tried it, and you know, we try when we record, we try to not do anything that we can't pull off live. Uh, I mean, of course, there's some things that we do that's doesn't fit that bill, but generally speaking, like, yep, like we're not going to have Jim Dandy live with us, but
What?
but
Are you serious?
it
What?
would be fun though. It would be great. But
John's
we
like, fuck
really
this, I'm out.
yeah, we really do try to take that into consideration when we're recording, and because if we didn't, we would be a completely different band on record. Because and I almost feel like we should start just a studio band. Because I feel like we have to limit ourselves in some ways, but we take it pretty serious about as far as like whatever we record in the studio, we want to be able to do that live. And I know, like with our new guitar player, that was kind of hard for him to like wrap his head around. He's just like, what? Like we're like, like no, it's like we take pride in the fact that we are a live band and we can do anything that we put on tape. Um, so
That's awesome. That's awesome that he's like, oh, we're gonna do this live. Like, yeah,
well, no,
why
he just wanted
else?
to do so much more
Oh,
in the studio.
oh,
You know what I
gotcha.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
he wanted to be able
Well,
to like
that's the
add, like well, let's do
guitar.
this
Like,
and let's do that, and let's do
yeah.
that. And you're like, well, are
But
we going to be able to do that live? Because if not, we don't need to be doing all that. I think
that's the
that would,
folly of a guitar player. Oh, another layer, another third harmony, a fourth harmony, a fifth that's in our mindset, but you got to stop it. Brittany's right. Hey, now, can we do this?
yeah,
I
or
mean, there,
or otherwise we just need to have another band that like that is like a studio band that we are able to just like go crazy and do as many layers as we want to. And I think it would be an amazing project, but it would actually it would hurt my heart knowing that there was no way we could ever play that live either.
yeah, I mean,
Right.
that would be, I'm sure you could figure it out, but how do you have 12 guitar players and four bass
Right.
players and six
Right.
drummers? Like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have a whole orchestra. I mean, and a
Yeah.
choir. Give me a, I
Yeah.
mean, like where would it end? I'm like for real. Like, seriously, like give me a boys choir and a
Yeah.
and a
It'd be
full
like
orchestra
Slipknot
thing.
on steroids, like have,
Yeah,
how many members do you
yeah,
guys have?
right.
74?
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, it having six makes things really hard, to be perfectly honest. When it comes to like logistics, of uh, fitting on, stages and, doing things like that, financially covering everybody, yeah, six is hard, so
Hell yeah, it is.
yeah,
Jeez. I four like max.
right,
Get to five. I'm kind of like now we're starting to get in the ska band realm. We need a horn section. Like what's
right, right.
oh, that's so awesome. So what are the shows that you guys have coming up?
John, you want to take that one?
Yeah, the 14th, which is the release date proper, we're playing in Nashville with a band called Phaeton and Electric Python. And that's going to be awesome. We've got a lot of lifelong friends from Nashville. When I first saw Wake, I was in a death metal band. I was like 16 or 17, and we opened for them in Nashville. And so as soon as they started getting their show on the road, they were ping ponging. Wake was ping ponging back and forth from Nashville to Little Rock. And so there's a lot of long time family like friends that are in that area. So
Where are you
we
guys
thought it was
playing at?
fitting. A place called East Side Bowl. It's
Okay,
a massive, it's got 16 lanes, bowling lanes. It's got three different music rooms. The bar area is really cool, 70s vibe. It's an old Kmart that was gutted and turned into this massive venue slash bowling lane. It's completely independent, so it's not a part of the Live Nation
good.
crew. So your your ticket, there's not like 32 different you know, taxes on your tickets. The money comes in, it goes to the people that work there, it goes to the bands, and that's it. Um, and so that's in Nashville on the 14th, and then we're playing at Rev Room on the 15th in Little Rock, Arkansas, and that'll be kind of like the official release show because we're doing something a little bit more special there, and it's that's going to be a hometown home run for us. We're really looking forward to that. And
Hell
then
yeah.
in April, we're at Shreveport with some friends in Weather, a band called Weather, and in New Orleans the next night. So I think I'm not entirely sure if it's the 12th and the 13th or of April.
It's the 11th and 12th. So 11 in Shreveport, 12th in New Orleans.
Yeah. So another place that I don't think I've been with the band since 2011. I don't think we've played in Louisiana since I've been with the band. So I'm excited to do that with Wake because that's another place that I think in when Wake was most busy, you know, we were playing there often, and there's a long time list of old fans and friends that have been connected. It's going to be good to kind of hit that place with them.
Well, I'm actually like I'm contemplating coming to Nashville for the Nashville show.
And you
Do
really
it,
should.
man.
I mean, and not to like, to just like say this, but we don't get to play often, So I do suggest if anybody wants to catch us, if you're within if you're within driving distance, I would make the drive because we are very limited on what we can do right now.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that actually, are you guys gonna have vinyl in Nashville?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
How do I sell this to my wife?
Road trip, road trip.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, does she like bowling?
no, she won't go.
Ah,
No,
Oh, you just got to
mm,
sell you being able to go.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was just in Nashville in January for the Nile 6 feet under cycroptic tour, like kickoff.
oh,
Oh,
right
that's
And
on.
cool.
I came home sick and she's like,
Oh,
you gotta stop taking trips.
oh yeah.
How
Yeah,
about
We'll
that
we
see.
we
sucks.
promise no colds or sickness on this. So just promise her that. Give
Yeah,
her
no,
the John Judkins guarantee.
I tried. I went to Vegas a couple weeks later and got sick coming back from there too. Every
Oh
time
my
I travel,
goodness.
I get sick. It's just like it's just my body.
Yeah.
Damn
It
it,
wants me
man.
to be
Well, it's
old and
worth
stay in
it.
one thing. I think
The
so.
show will be worth it though.
Hell
I
yeah.
mean, what's
Yeah.
being sick for a couple days?
I don't care. She gets mad though. She's like, I can't kiss you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be around you. Like, I know, but I love you. You can kiss me. You just get sick.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. You might, I won't say yes or no, but you might see me like pop up. And if I do, I'll come say, hey.
Oh,
Awesome.
certainly, man.
Hell
Certainly.
yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's Nashville's my old stomping grounds. I lived there long time ago, late 90s. I was there from probably 95, 96 until probably like 2000.
Oh, wow.
So that's when
Awesome.
John was. That's when well, John was there quite a bit longer than that, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was go ahead.
there used to be do you remember Lucy's on
yeah,
Church?
we played there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man.
that's where I first saw Wake and saw so many bands there. That was the place in all ages. I was a youngster and I was from a town about an hour outside of there. And so we would drive up from McMinnville, Tennessee, Centertown, Tennessee, uh, bunch of old country boys and three different pickup trucks with their shit strapped down in the back, drive up there, play a rock and roll show and head back, you know. But Lucy's was amazing just because it was all ages, had a record shop, was just like you're going to see things there that you wouldn't see on TV or
Yeah.
anything. Like you came there and you're like, what's happening tonight? And how's my mind going to be blown this evening? What's this band called Soylent Green? What is that? What is
Yeah.
this? You know? And
Yeah.
yeah, that was a
And
big shaper for me, you know?
yeah,
That
and
was
there
my
was a
introduction
ton
to I
of
Hate God.
and there
Yeah.
was a ton of like really good, local bands. Like one of my favorite bands, Third Degree Burnout, uh did
Social
you ever listen?
animosity.
Yeah, Social Animosity. That was gonna be my other one. But yeah, they were great bands that were playing shows at that time.
Yeah, yeah, at that, so in that like that late 90s era, I remember reading an article that at that time in Nashville proper, there were 37,000 bands.
Oh God, good
Like,
Lord.
holy fuck. Every
Right.
household has a band, like
Right.
what's going on
Well, you
here?
gotta, I mean, it's different in other places. Being in Miami, I'm kind of learning that, especially here, like not everybody has a basement to jam in, like, and a lot of times in Tennessee, at least, your parents were like, well, they're downstairs jamming. I don't care what they're jamming, but they're not out on the streets getting into some shit.
Yeah.
So I know where they are, I know what they're doing, and there you go, there you go. So I think a lot of that came from that too. And then, regardless of it being a different, completely different genre, Nashville and that area, all the country music, the Americana, the folk stuff was just so prevalent, so it absorbed there as well. And a lot of people's parents were singer-songwriters or were in cover bands or things like that. It was just a way to being so many venues, there's just a way to make a little extra money and to kind of express yourself. So it was just kind of second hat to be a musician in that area at that time, and continues to today. Of course, you have a lot more transplants now, but um, I've got this old compilation from the mid to late 90s called Oh, the Humanity. And it's got like 40 something tracks. It's an old CD, but it's like 40 tracks. And inside you're like, good Lord, look at all these bands. Today's the Days on there. And From Ashes Rise is on there. And all this stuff. And you're like, man, Nashville has always been ripping on like the heavy and punk stuff. And
Yeah, I think
um,
people miss out on that with Nashville. They think, oh, it's Nashville. The common perception is that it's all country, but man, I used to tell people, they there any night of the week you could go out and see any style of music that you want. Like there
Yep.
were
oh,
just
yeah.
it's abundant there, and the the quality of musicians is
Mm,
fucking
yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If when you're a band in Nashville, another thing about it is it kind of sharpens you too, because you'll play these shows um and you're like, yeah, we're ripping it, right? We're good. And then you'll play, and then the next band comes up, you're like, holy shit, what is this? And it
We
just,
suck. Fuck.
yeah, it makes you feel that way. But once you go on tour in other cities and things, people are like, holy shit, you guys are amazing. And you're like, well, in our town, we're like the fifth best of
Oh,
this style or so, like
yeah.
you could say that to yourself. In reality, of course, music is should be, it's art, and it's viewed in its own way. It shouldn't be measured in that way. But as far as just proficiency and ability to perform together, and the level is high in that city. And I will say this too: Little Rock, Arkansas has one of the most cohesive, heartfelt, beautiful, heavy rock scenes on the planet. And I'm talking like uh it's a mighty titan, as far as like whenever my bands from Nashville, before I joined Wake, we would travel to play there, and the people would show up and they would support, they would buy stuff. And the opening bands, the support bands, the bands you open for when you're there, it's just amazing, man. And I think it's really, really overlooked. And it's always getting props from me anytime I tell anyone. I'm like, Little Rock fucking rules. You go there, you're going to get love, you're going to get support, and your face is going to get ripped off by whoever's playing with you that night, and that's the truth. So
Yeah.
I love that city, and every time I get to go there, I try to make it a point, if I'm available, to go see another show or something that week. If we have long weeks of rehearsals and stuff, and I'm like, oh, there's something happening at Whitewater on Wednesday. Let's go, let's go. There's something happening at this venue on Tuesday. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
I'm always just impressed, by it.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the Little Rock scene, so I'm like, I think, I guess, so I live in Louisville now, and I think a lot of people probably look at Little Rock like they do Louisville, like, man, what's there? We get skipped a lot on tours, and I'm like, come here, like we have people that absolutely love to go to shows. Like we have a Metal Monday, and it it sells out every fucking time it happens, and it's been going on for 8 years now or something ridiculous. but they're at a point where they're moving it to a bigger place that's like twice the capacity now. So they'll build into that and then it'll move to a fucking bigger place. But it's the same
Is it
crowd.
it's a show like a live show or is it like
Yeah,
DJ spinning?
live
Shit.
show.
Brittany, we might have to combo that
Yeah.
up on a weekend run because it's not so
Well,
far from Nashville, and you're always looking for kind of ways to tag things together to where you're able to get home fairly certainly, within a 3 to 4 day period for us. But might be
hell
something
yeah.
we maybe that's what you'll do. You'll tell your wife you need to you're doing some fact finding mission to
Research.
Nashville to try to gather up
Yeah.
some metal Monday recruits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Right that
listen,
thing.
anytime you guys want to come to Louisville, fucking we'll get you on a show.
Yeah.
I got buddies that book here. I got a buddy who books in Lexington. Like, we got you covered.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
Louisville is cool. Lexington's cool too. I played there before. I like it.
Yeah. So there's a like a Doom Fest now. Last year was year one. Legalized Lex is what it's called. And I think we were up like 400-ish people last year.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's
yeah.
and that always makes you feel good, when you have, when you have a local scene like that, that I think a lot of people take it for granted, like until they move, and then they're like, shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, like yeah, we were always fortunate and to have a really cool scene in Little Rock. A ton of bands that will never see the light of day, but that were just really great, and I think a lot of it comes from, like at least from like our generation, just being raised in the Bible Belt, and was just like so much oppression and, so having that outlet for like music and art and stuff like that, is like it saved a lot of people's lives, I mean, like really,
for
and
sure.
and
Well, just like
so
John was saying, you're not out running the streets, you know,
right,
doing crack and whatever else is coming at you. You're being
right,
productive and you're focused on something, which
yeah,
I think I was one of the kids that was out ripping and running and doing all the things I shouldn't have been doing. And once I picked up an instrument, I'm like, oh, nah, I'm gonna play. Like, I'll see you guys,
yeah.
like,
Yeah. And like while oppression isn't like a requirement for good music, I definitely think, that it helps.
yeah,
It really does. So,
yeah,
Not
the
as
tortured
but
suggesting
artist.
you go out and
yeah,
rob someone so you can spend 5 years in jail so you could write your magnum opus album. But
right.
if you happen to find yourself in bad times, it helps to make art and out
Yeah.
of it at least.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, it does. Uh,
Yeah.
so here's a question. Have
Yes.
you guys started writing for the next thing?
Yes, we already have like a couple of songs that so Jeff for the Return of Magic, Jeff was kind of like the main architect for that. He wrote the majority of those songs actually back in 2018, like the architecture, the foundation for them. Bass, drums, guitar, all of it, and then he wrote the other half of the record in 2020. It wasn't until about 2022 or 2023 that we were, we solidified our lineup, all got together, and then we were able to, build on what he had written and, made it into the what the massive piece of music that it is now. But there's still 2 3 songs when he from those 2 writing sessions that he had for us to build and start working on. And so yeah, we're already on the we're already like we're already got a good start on the next record for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, the process of getting it all together in the first place was such a long thing, and it was kind of trickling here and there, and interest and ideas was kind of checkerboarded from each of us, and but once we got down to it, we started finding a really good rhythm and routine, and I think we even learned some things towards the end of the writing process and the finishing up and tidying up some things in this last record that kind of came to light towards the end of prepping this record. And so when we are jumping into this new piece, we're going to be able to utilize these new like workflows
Yes, I 100%
and
agree.
we've
Because we had
tried this
never,
already.
yeah,
Never
because
done
we'd
that.
never, we'd, well, with this team, like we'd never, so John, while John's been in the band for, over 10 years, the majority of that was, him playing bass. And with songs that were already written. So this was the
I was,
first
yeah.
time that, this was the first time, that we were able to, like get to, write with John and stuff. So yeah, I completely agree with what you just said, John. So, you know, and the fact that we don't get to practice a whole lot together, you know, uh, it makes it really special when we all have a chance to get together. When we all have a chance to get together, it makes for a really positive vibe. Because we're all just so happy to be in the same room together. And then we feed off of each other's creativity, and exactly what he said. We really got into a rhythm, that I think will make the next record not have to take 13 years.
Yeah.
God, I
Yeah,
hope not.
But
absolutely.
yeah,
Oh, that's
No.
fucking awesome.
yeah.
Do you have multiple variants of the vinyl coming out?
Yes. Yeah. Three different kinds. So one of them is already sold out. But we do have for the variant that sold out, that for the pre-orders Relapse had. We still have our share that they're giving us. And so we'll split those up between Little Rock and Nashville, because we don't have a whole lot of that one specific variant that's already sold out. So we won't put them on our online site either. Those will only be for people who come to the shows.
Fuck. Now I have to go. Sorry, Jen.
Right. But yeah, so technically there's three variants. One sold out, minimal left that you'll be able to get at the live show. And then the second variant, while it's not sold out, it is limited. And then another one. And hopefully record companies will get back to making 180-gram vinyl. So it looks like they're just kind of slowly getting away from that these days. But hopefully record companies will realize
Yeah,
that most music collectors are big fans of the 180 gram.
I think you're right, but they're so focused on the different, like what
Yes,
crazy shit can we do?
yes. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, while I love any vinyl, I mean, I'll take a colored record, I'll take it, whatever. There's That's not gonna last in 100 years like a 180-gram record would. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I
long
think
term.
people like the people who collect like take really good care of them.
Well,
So,
sure, yeah, for
like
sure.
I think in that scenario they're gonna last. Like I'm like you, like I'm looking over here, I've got walls of records,
Mhm.
so I don't listen near as much as I should, but they are very well taken care of, and the I love when they do crazy shit with them. I actually just
Yeah.
got a I just got a liquid filled record from a band out of Evansville called Fairy Ring. God, I
Oh, that's
fucking
super
love it.
cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
really cool.
Yeah, those I'll see those.
love it when
Yeah.
they do shit like that. Okay. Um, Brittany, John, thank you for taking time out of your day to come and hang out with me. I've had a lot of fun chatting with you guys.
Thank you so much for
Oh
having
yeah.
us. And I'm
Yeah,
so
man.
glad, that not only that you listened to the record, but you got it, like that means the world to us. So
Well, I think when you're a fan of like underground music, for lack of a better term, you have to be willing to embrace, or just open-minded enough to like, okay, what's going to happen here?
yeah.
Whatever it is, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a
Yeah, just be
testament to
willing
you
to, yeah,
guys.
willing to go on the journey, like,
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's hey, lo love that. Thank you so much, Tom. It's a pleasure and the kind words and things. Hopefully you can build up enough good graces at this point with the missus to
Yeah.
make a trip down to Nashville, man. It'd be good to shake your hand and say hey in person and go on a journey together. A
Hell
volume
yeah.
Yeah.
journey, a
Right.
spiritual volume journey.
If
Yeah, there
nothing
you
else, I
go.
just want to
Yeah.
buy a fucking record.
Right.
Like,
So just double up on the emergency,
yeah,
take you some Zycam,
yeah. I'm gonna
Yeah,
take
walk in and be
start.
like,
echinacea,
I'm gonna be in a
a
fucking
bubble.
whole bodysuit. Like,
Oh, the boy in the bubble,
Go
I'm
ahead
gonna
and
look
whatever.
start doing
like,
stuff around the house that needs to be done. Go ahead and fixing it up in advance and start working on all that palm karma, so you
hell
can
yeah.
make that trip.
Hell yeah. All right. You all go and have a great day.
All right. Thanks so much for
Cheers,
having
Tom.
us.
All right.
Thank you,
See
brother.
ya.
Have a good one.
Bye.
You too.